Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for coming along today. Everyone's excited after the Wild Wonder Conference and ready to do some more journaling. Hi, it's nice to see all these faces, some familiar faces, some new faces. And Jack and I are very excited to do another one of our virtual nature walks today. Can everyone hear me okay? Awesome. Thumbs up all the way. And we are continuing a series of walks I'm doing in the North Cascades where I live, a beautiful mountain country. And we've done a couple of these so far, and we're continuing on. Today it is 110 degrees here where I live. And so I am going to head up to the snow on a little walk with us today and just kind of get out of some of this heat. I guess you're not probably seeing some of that heat in the Bay Area, right?
Well, in the Bay Area, we have that automatic cooling system. So when Central Valley heats up, it pumps in the cold air. So right now, if you were in San Francisco, I think you'd be in fog.
Yeah. Well, we're getting some heat here, and boy, is it brutal. But it's happening all over right now. So I want to just share with you what we do is on these walks, if you haven't been on one of these yet with us, we actually don't get through a heck of a lot of slides because we just sort of start talking and sketching, and we kind of really enjoy ourselves looking at some different scenes of nature. Sometimes I play some video clips, sometimes I just show photographs, try to give you a sense of both landscape and some of the details coming in, zooming in on a couple of really interesting things that I've found. And so this is just me guiding us visually on a nature walk, and Jack and I kind of just riffing off of whatever we're looking at in the scene. And I hope that works for everyone. So let's see if I can share screen.
And just if I could, so and for folks, what the way to make the most out of this is that, so David Lukas, if you have not met him before.
No, over here. This side.
Oh, you're on my screen, you're that side.
Okay.
So, but I guess on your screen, you're this side. So
yes.
David Lukas,
yeah,
this guy. This is the most amazing naturalist I've met. And so getting to kind of bop around in the field, find interesting things, and just geek out about those. We're going to use this as an opportunity just to nature journal with at home. So he's going to be giving us either stills or short videos on phenomena that he's found. And what I recommend you do is just start using your words, pictures, and numbers to go on a journey on your page, and use this as kind of a tool for thinking about, like, how do you, when you're looking at something like that, how do you transfer that to your page? A few places, I'm going to silence you, phone. So a few times I might come on and sort of show, oh, like, you know, in my journal, you know, you can do this way, or I can point out things that are sort of strategies that you can take as a nature journaler. But the big draw here is we get to pick David's brain, and we get to take advantage of he's a videographer, a photographer, as well as a naturalist. And so he's going to be sharing this imagery and the stories behind what we do. So
yeah, thank you, Jack. Yeah, and I try to select pictures with an eye towards really unique phenomenon, unique observations, but also things that I think would be a little difficult and challenging to portray visually, just to throw in some wrinkles here. So without further ado, again, my goal is to just sort of take us on a little walk. And let's see, there's no sound in this one. So I believe you can see that. Is that right?
Virtual walk with David Lukas.
Okay, that's it. So, so I live in the North Cascades of Northern Washington by the Canadian border. And as I mentioned, today is about 110 in the lowlands. So we're going to walk up into the mountains, trying to get up to the snow level up there. We're on the east side of the Cascades, so we're kind of in the drier zone, whereas the other side gets like 250 inches of rain. We just get like a couple dozen inches of rain at most. And as you can see, this is a fire zone. We've had a lot of epic fires recently, and this canyon we're going to hike up is just a beautiful raging river coming off of the east slope of the Cascades in some rugged country. I love the look of this landscape. Post fire, you can see all the brush starting to come in here. And this is truly wilderness in this area because you could not bushwhack up these hillsides. And the brush is so dense that there is no way you could wander in here, which effectively means that everything you're seeing is wilderness, impenetrable wilderness. I mean, there's almost physically no way that a person could get into this landscape. And for me, that just speaks to me emotionally and spiritually. Just looking at truly wild places like this just really evokes a lot for me. So we have undergrowth of snow brush here, ceanothus coming in, and then along the stream channel we have cottonwoods coming in because we're still at a fairly low elevation as we turn and head up. And I'm going to turn the go ahead.
Just a quick question for you, David.
Yeah.
How long ago was this area burned?
Let's see, I had this written down, 2003. Yeah, 2003. And you can see it's barely coming back. You can see the conifers that survived, but no new conifers coming in. And you have to wonder whether this will ever return, or maybe in 1,000 years it'll return as the conifer forest that was here before. It's pretty staggering. And as a matter of fact, many hundreds of thousands of acres have burned in this area. So.
When you get there underneath those, what species of tree is that?
Well, the green ones are black cottonwoods, and we're going to get close to them in the next picture here along the river.
I meant the conifers. What was that?
The conifers at this elevation will be Douglas fir. Probably on this hillside, you're getting spruce, Engelmann spruce on this hillside. As we get higher up, we're going to get into spruce in this hike.
So with the, when you get there underneath those trees, you don't see little Doug firs popping up and no little seedlings.
Not in this burn area. I mean, it's, let's see. So 2003 is less than 20 years, 17, 18 years or so.
Yeah.
I think these trees are much bigger than that, so they probably survived the fire, I'm guessing. But anyway, over the larger landscape, there's no regeneration happening. And this is what's happening in California too, as fires come in. You're getting what's called type conversion, where the habitat is basically permanently altered. These fires are so extreme, the drought is so extreme, that once you lose the trees, there's no more seed bed. The seed bed gets baked. And then where are the trees going to come from to come back? So you get what's called a type conversion when the habitat changes to something completely different, probably, perhaps forever, or for any near-term kind of scenario we can imagine. So, but I love this view. It's like a painting. It's so beautiful here. And I'll go ahead and turn the corner in the canyon as we walk up. And I just wanted to just a quick view of what the canyon looks like close up, because I'm going to show you in the next scene a very beautiful, interesting thing. So here we are right in the corridor. The cottonwoods are starting to come back. It looks like maybe more trees survived here. And then this is a prelude for, look at that. You ever seen anything like that before?
The art right now, I'm still seeing the stream.
Are you still seeing the stream? It didn't change to the next scene?
Not yet.
So it shouldn't take time.
Easy.
Okay, so you're still in the stream.
David, can you hear me? David,
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. All right. I'm going to move my spotlight. I don't see you though.
Okay. Well, it shouldn't go down. So let's see. So are we back in the presentation at all?
We're back in the presentation.
Okay, well, that's what matters. So can you see the stream now?
I see virtual nature walk with David Lukas.
So why doesn't it scroll forward? We had no problems before. That's not what's showing up on my screen at all.
Let's just, okay, I just saw a moment ago. It might just be a lag kind of coming through. So let's try that again. And
Sorry, everyone. So what are you seeing now?
I am seeing your the forest with the stream coming through. Okay. Nice undergrowth.
Okay. So let's try moving forward. Does that change, or is there still a lag?
Let's just there may be a little lag, so don't push any buttons. Let's just.
I'm not going to touch anything.
If
we're all live here.
There we are. Oh. Okay, you found something cool.
Yeah.
So everybody, here's a little mystery.
Yeah.
On my end, I'm sketching up a storm.
Well, I'm going to zoom in on it. So this picture is just for scale, and then I will just focus on the entity itself. So what I want to focus on here is, look where my head is. Everyone can see this, right? So my head is right about this level. That's 6 feet right here. And then I'll zoom in on it. Can you see that now? Zoomed in?
Mine probably just has a little bit of lag. Don't worry about
anything then.
My hunch is that my computer will kind of catch up with you soon. Yes. Oh.
That's really, there's a lot of interesting things here going on. So first of all, so remember my head level is right, this is 6 feet right here. That's about where my head was when I was standing there. So this is like, well, first of all, like what makes this, and then what is going on? There's just so much here. So a lot of, I mean, it almost looks like someone intentionally crafted it. Look how this spirals around. You wouldn't think about that. It's like it's spiraling around the trunk instead of like just one part and then another part and another part.
Yeah.
It's like an
I have never seen.
I've never seen that before.
Seems cultural, human.
When you get up close to it, David, what did these sort of chip marks in it look like?
Well, they look like almost like a spatula scooped out one big divot after another. And you can see there's kind of a pattern to it even. Like it worked sequentially up. It almost looks intentional, like someone sculpted it intentionally. But of course, we know that that's not true, right? So an animal made this.
And how do you know that it was not?
Well,
so that's not something on you're saying that's not something that's on your sort of differential diagnosis, and I'm kind of curious for you, why not?
Well, I had to think about it a lot because it looks so intentionally sculpted. But it was like these lines, no one could do that with it. I couldn't imagine a tool that could make these perfect lines of one divot after another. If you were doing it with a hatchet, which is the only thing that could do it, it would be more random because each hatchet stroke would be sort of a random hit. These were very ordered going around. And plus this rough area up here was more like something had worked that this is not a tool.
Yeah.
Chipping away at it. This is an abrading.
Now, could you put a marker in at about 6 feet up?
This is about 6 feet.
That's 6 feet. That is some crazy. That's a big cottonwood.
The big cottonwood too, yeah. So well, this would be a beaver doing this, but why would it be trying to take down a big tree? Like this is clearly not getting food from the wood. And then how in heck did it get up here? What, like 9 feet or more, 9 or 10 feet up, huh?
Yeah, this is fun. Oh.
A lot of people are joking like this is some sort of prehistoric monster beaver or something.
Yeah, well,
So,
yeah, there are there is that a prehistoric.
yeah, I know. Like the Ice Age beaver, that a
Yeah, the
relic
Ice Age beaver was a beaver not to be trifled
reckoned
with.
with. Yeah. And then up here, look how it's doing a V mark. Not doing the same thing up here for whatever reason. Um, and then also, if this is 6 feet right here, how is a beaver spiraling up higher and higher like that? It's not climbing 6 feet off the ground and clinging to the trunk with its claws while it chews on it or anything. So this is indicative of how much snow we get here.
Oh, see, that's just
So the beaver is standing on the snow at 9 feet or so, chewing here. So that part makes sense to me, but the part that doesn't make sense to me is what is going on with the river behind it? So like if there's 9, 10 feet of snow here, there's no river accessible, I wouldn't imagine. Even if there is, look how much current there is in that river. I mean, a beaver cannot live in that kind of current. This thing was raging down, and you can see the logs it's carrying in it.
yeah.
So there's no slack water whatsoever for beaver here. So anyway, amazing sighting, and really fun to piece this little puzzle together here.
Yeah. So, yeah, I've found lots of evidence in the Sierra of winter beaver chews,
Mhm.
and where you typically have just the straightforward triangular beaver gnaw marks that are 6 or
Marcus.
more feet up a tree, and
Mhm.
that's your standard sort of beaver in winter.
Mhm.
This spiral at the base,
Mhm.
never encountered anything like that.
And I was just thinking as we were talking about it and sketching this, that I wonder if this is like the snow is building up and it's just working its way up as the snow gets deeper and deeper with each snowstorm. Because we don't get huge snowstorms here. It snows like every 2 or 3 days, a couple inches. And so it builds up gradually. So I'm wondering if this is just working the trunk as the snow is increasingly getting deeper. And then it came back and this was a static level and it just sat there and didn't spiral up anymore. It just worked it at a static level. Just a guess. I have no idea.
So, folks, notice that David is using this sort of tentative. First of all, that when he doesn't know the exact answer for something, some naturalists feel pressure to sort of make something up so they look like the ultimate sage of the forest. I've never seen David do that. He always says, "I don't know," when he doesn't know.
Yeah.
We can speculate, but notice when he's speculating also that he's still using tentative language. That, could it be, perhaps? I wonder if. That keeps us sort of epistemologically honest. And that's really, really helpful for us as we are thinking about solving mysteries. Because your brain, our human brains tend not to like not having the answer. And so when a possible plausible answer will come to you, it will, we often will kind of lock onto that way too early.
Yeah, we also probably have to be careful here of trying to fit our explanation to something we already believe about this, instead of staying open to some other answer. I don't know what it would be.
No. In those little kind of marks on the bottom, typically when I'm looking at beaver chew, I can actually see the incisor marks. Right? So I'll be able to see that in each little scrape, you can see the little line between the two front teeth when you kind of get in there. By any chance, is there a close-up?
I didn't take a close-up of it. No, that's a great mark to look for.
Because one possibility that we want to keep on that differential diagnosis is there's definitely beaver at work here. What if human sculptor with a chisel comes out and creates human/beaver art? Unlikely, but
Yeah.
stranger
Oh,
things
yeah.
happen. This is what possibly could be doing that, and also this idea, the idea of you notice that the stream next to this is not, that's too, looks like too steep grade a stream to make a beaver happy. Beavers, as you're right, they like a still pool.
Yep.
Even when they're not building a dam, they will still like a quiet water.
They need somewhere.
They'll sometimes burrow into a bank, but here, you try to put anything in that stream, it's going to get washed away.
Yep. Yeah.
Well,
I mean, I was imagining them that yes, they could live in the bank here, and they could be here, but what if they swim downstream? They could not swim back up this stream. It's like they're in one spot. It's not much of a beaver life. So
this is cool.
Yeah.
So I'll show you the on mine so far. I've got I've drawn a little sketch of this beaver tree. I need to put in more of the mysteries. How the why. So this is next to fast water. Not typical beaver. And I think of the beaver kind of heading out to the meadow, going to dam some things up there.
There's no meadow. This is a really rugged canyon with talus coming right down to the water's edge on both sides. So, yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's see. So does that give you any kind of does that change yet, or is
oh yeah. Oh, that's gorgeous.
Yeah. So as we walk up through the forest, we're getting some of these. People might have seen these before, so I thought I would just add a little explanation. So this is a maple with a classic maple leaf shape, and the red is caused by a mite called the Eryofa Mite, ERIOPHID. ERIOPHID. How you say that? Eryofa, I would say maybe. A little tiny mite, and I went and got a little Google image of one because they're so tiny. Oops, sorry about those red little marks there, green little marks on it. A little scanning electron microscope view of it, so you can actually visualize these little cigar-shaped critters. Very bizarre little mites. They have 4 legs, 2 pairs of legs rather than the usual 8 pairs of legs that other mites have. And they are about 1/3 of a millimeter long. They spend the winter living in the bark of the maple tree. And then when the leaves come out, they migrate from the bark onto the new leaves. And then they sit here in dense groups on the leaves. The red is the plant reacting to the mites. You're not seeing the red mites. They're not red mites. They might be hidden in there, but they're not seeing the mites because they're so microscopic. But they congregate on the leaves and they stick their little stylets into the plant tissue, suck up the juices, and they inject a toxin, which makes the plant react and create this red, the red thing we're seeing here. It's actually a little red papilla, little tiny inflated hairs that are liquid filled with a red liquid. And then they spend their summer living here, reproducing generation after generation till the fall comes. And then with the approaching winter, they migrate back into the bark of the tree where they find safety over the winter and wait for the next season. And typically the strategy with galls like this is that the plant is isolating the infestation and keeping it in one spot. And this is not so much like most galls are a contained vessel. Not quite seeing that here. So maybe that's not a good explanation for what's going on here. This might just be where the mites live and the plant is reacting to the toxins that they're injecting in their bites. Kind of like a rash, like if you're getting bitten by something or you have a rash, you're going to be looking like this too.
What
But
type of maple?
This is a Douglas maple. It's a Rocky Mountain form, different than vine maple. And that red is so intense. It's hard to believe that's a real color. If you get really, really close and look at it, it has a shimmery kind of patina surface. Like if you look at the surface of a, what's like a old overhead transparency, that gritty silica surface they used to put on those things, it looks like that, but it's red. And it's fun to see the little critter that makes it. These little cigar tubes with the little mouthpieces and a few arms for hooking onto the tissue at the end.
Oh, and how, what an interesting structure. You kind of get with those 4 legs.
Mm-hmm. Forward. Well, here's a great question. Given how far into this leaf is from the bark, how in the heck does that little blob crawl from the bark of a tree to the end of a branch where the leaves are? What if they fall off in the wind or something? I mean, wow, I can't even imagine. I bet no one has ever studied that, like trying to watch them crawl and migrate from the bark to the leaves.
Oh man.
But
Most of the good questions out there, very few people have really kind of played with.
Yeah.
Wow. And yeah, that being a scanning electron picture gives you a sense that, yeah, that's pretty small.
That's really small. Yeah. You might be able to see it with a loop, but you're not going to see the detail. You might be able to tell that there's a little tiny blob down there, but I don't know, 1/3 of a millimeter, that's pretty small. So, yeah. But I love the colors. And I suppose some of you have probably seen this kind of feature on maple leaves on your walks in some areas. It's widespread. It's all over North America, different species involved, but this phenomenon is a widespread phenomenon. So it's something you can look for in a lot of places.
I wonder why the tips of the leaf,
Well, yeah, I was wondering that too. And I was wondering if that's maybe a sweeter tissue because it's the growing outer edge, or it's younger tissue, whereas the center has more lignin, more fibrous tissue to hold the structure of the leaf together. We could come up with other ideas. Maybe the edges of the leaf flutter in the wind more and it makes it harder for parasites to land and get to the mites. Whereas if they're at the base of the leaf where it's stable, it'd be easier for a parasite to land and parasitize them. I mean, interesting idea, but no, that's great. I love the colors in these, the red and the green, and then these yellow veins nicely holding the leaf out. Yeah, very beautiful. I wish you could actually see them in this picture, but we got a sign here. We'll just go with the sign. Okay, so
and also just to kind of to add to that, you have these leaves that are going to be dropping every year, not just getting out there, but you better get back.
Yes, yeah, and time it just right. Yep.
I wonder if they go back, are they going, and I think of the bark as being filled with all sorts of nooks and crannies, great place to hide. Those outer branches are pretty smooth, not really giving as good places to hide. I wonder how far back they go. Are they going back to coarse bark?
To the main trunk or not, or just the base of the branch? Yeah, I wouldn't think they'd have to go to the main trunk. That'd be a crazy journey for them to go on.
Although I remember hearing about those mites that are in flowers that run up into the nostrils of the hummingbirds, right?
Yep.
And those
Yeah.
mites are incredibly fast. So
Right.
proportionate to their size, they're faster than a cheetah.
Right. That's a great story.
So
but those are the 8-legged ones too.
That's right. So this one is not looking like a speed demon mite. I mean, very short legs, but we know some mites can move fast.
And I think the forelegs pointing forward give it a fulcrum for grabbing on, a strong point for grabbing on, I'm guessing, is probably its main focus, not speed, but holding on to the leaf tissue and all the conditions. So cool little critter, huh?
This is beautiful, and also just sort of aesthetically, just so much fun. I'm going to jump over to my kind of share cam. If people can, can see, I'll sort of show you what I'm.
Oh, nice.
Getting so far with this. So what I did is I blocked in a little leaf shape, and then I haven't put watercolor across the whole thing, but just a few little spots. On drawing a leaf shape like that, I just thought it'd be helpful to show, kind of give people a little trick. So when drawing something like this, a kind of general useful strategy is to lightly initially just kind of, it's roughly circular. So I give myself a little circle. And there's a major vein that comes through here. And then look at the angle of these veins here. So these veins are coming out at an angle like that. So looking at this angle helps me kind of place this vein. And then these ones are coming out like a cross piece here. So I'm looking at the angle of the vein, the angle of the vein, and then watch this next little step. What I do is I kind of on top of this, I'm just going to say that, right, there is roughly a ball of a lump here. There is a ball of a lump here. There is a ball of this here, and a ball of this here and here. And so that gives me sort of the major big parts. And then I'm going to notice that a lot of these, there's a central point, and that has little accessory points on the side. So central point with some little minor ones, and central point with minor ones. Last thing I do before I kind of draw in my details is I'm just going to look at the negative space right here where I have my fingers. So does it come way back and in? No, it's going to come more out like this. So there's not a lot of negative shape in there. So I'm looking at some of those negative shapes. And then I'm in a place to put down my light colored pencil that I've done this with. And I pick up my my ballpoint pen, or sort of a heavier graphite pencil, or just start pressing more hard. And I now can kind of come around with this jagged edge. And but I'm now kind of going around on a surface where I've already noticed where those sort of the big, I've already had the big shape in. So now I can, if you are just kind of coming around and trying to make a jaggedy edge and have it be the right shape at the same time, it usually doesn't turn out very well for us. But now that I've got that figured out, it's easier to kind of come around and and get that shape, but just don't do the jaggies and the basic shape at the same time.
Nice. Very cool.
I love that plant. And it's so much fun to have the little, I've never seen the mite. Thank you for looking that up.
Yeah, yeah. I wanted to, rather than just imagining it. So let's see.
I wonder
So,
what those little hairs do.
so I'm going to continue up the canyon here. Get up into where our kind of our goal for the day is. Can you see that yet?
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. It's getting a little bit cooler. I can feel it already.
Yeah, getting up out of the lowlands into some of the high forest. This is more spruce. Shoot, I don't know why these green marks came in here somehow, but anyway. So this, the North Cascades is a series of terrains, Terrane. Terrains are blocks that are scraped off the seafloor and just sort of stacked up as the continents and the plates move past each other. So all of this, this picture is pretty cool because you can imagine all the rock is the same here, but look at the difference in the two sides of the canyon in here. Let's see. So Jack, you're still on your other screen if you want to be on that one or not. You can be on the cam if you want. That's fine.
Okay.
Two sides of the canyon. So the snowy side here is facing north, which is left in this view. So this is the shaded side, and then the right side is facing south into the sun. So I think what's happening here geologically and morphologically is probably the same on both sides of the canyon. You have the crumbling rock, you have the talus fields, but look at the line of the forest coming down the center of the canyon, following the creek, almost exactly following the creek with just a tiny bit of spillover onto the snowy side. But all of this sun-facing side, the soil has become developed. It's meadows, and you'll see just full of flowers. The forest is growing at the base where there's more water and then running up the wet stringers up the hillside, up higher. So just a neat look at how all the topography works here. And I think also you can notice this left side is more of a gradual slope, and the right side is very jagged and sheer. Well, what's breaking up the rock is going to be ice freezing in the rocks and breaking off rock pieces. And this right side facing away from the sun is going to get a lot more ice. It's going to be a lot colder, more time for ice to break up rock and quarry it off and pile it up at the base. Whereas this more gentle side, that process is a lot more subdued. It may even be exposed in the middle of winter with very little snow on it higher up. I don't know, but it would be impossible to get up here in the wintertime. Oops. So it's just, I like how you can see the two sides of the canyon really different, very clear in this view, and how the weather and the aspect shapes not only the vegetation, but the way that the landscape evolves and erodes away. So here we are in mid-June, say, towards late June. There's still a lot of snow on this side. Lots of that snow will linger through the entire summer, in fact. Matter of fact, this might even be a glacier right here. We have like 700 and plus glaciers here.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's an incredible landscape. And then I want to drill down into the forest here a little bit more. This is just a high level view of it, giving you the shape of the larger landscape. So as we drill in, we're going to be on this hillside here. So did that change? I think it probably changed. This long gradual slope, which is so lush with meadows, flowers, and stringers of forest. These are all, at this point, these look like subalpine fir. You can see these extremely narrow conical shapes. Look at this one up here in the upper left, how extremely narrow this is. This is a way of shedding snow off of your branches. So there's no branches that stick out to collect snow. They can't bear that weight. So they have extremely narrow profiles for shedding snow. And then this is the meadow that we're in here, this entire hillside. When you're looking at that big master view, just fabulous wildflower displays here. And I didn't throw in many pictures of just wildflower displays because there's nothing to focus on here. It's just color. It's a beautiful scene. But let's zero in on one flower. You can see that.
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
I guess that's a yes.
Yeah, yeah. We
So
have powerful, positive flower sign here.
okay, positive flowers. So I think it's easier to focus on this than an entire beautiful hillside of flowers. So here we have a tiger lily, and I'm gonna just do a couple quick slides here, and then come back to this so I can sketch it. But I'll show you a little bit about the life history of this. So this beautiful lily has its petals curved back, exposing the interior, the stigma and stamens sticking way out here. And so the main pollinator of this is going to be, I got this amazing photograph of a swallowtail butterfly in flight, which I couldn't believe. So this is the pollinator for them, but the flower is bigger than the butterfly. So I didn't get a picture of it actually on this flower, but I grabbed one from the internet to show you a phenomenon called wing pollination. I'd never heard of wing pollination before. This is a different species of flower, but it's the same structure, the same butterfly, and this is how it works. The lily has this nectar reward here tucked into the base, with these long, huge stamens sticking way out, way beyond where the pollinator is going to sit, right? And as the butterfly sits there fluttering its wings, it is batting its wings up against the anthers and dusting its wings with pollen. And then here's the female, the receptive female part sticking way out. And as the butterfly comes into a new flower, guess what the first thing it's going to go past? Bam, its wings are going to brush against this. It's going to clamber in, get to the base, flutter its wings, and cover them with more dusted pollen. This is called wing pollination.
Yeah.
So this
I've
flower
never
would
heard
be,
of that.
isn't that cool?
Yeah. Oh, that's really fun.
So yeah, these things sticking way out are much bigger than the insect coming in. And it just seems like it's an evolutionary dead end, but it's just doing something different than we're used to. It's not designed to hit the face of the pollinator. It's designed to hit the rear end kind of the pollinator. Its face is buried deep inside of this lily. Isn't that a cool strategy? I never knew that before.
Yeah, no, that's totally news to me too. That's really slick. Wing.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. I wonder, you know how the lily pollen is so super staining?
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if we start looking around on the hind wings of swallowtails, if we can find staining, or if the pollen for some reason doesn't stain those flowers.
Oh, the wings, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't stain the wings.
So I wonder if the staining, does that only happen when it's wet? I mean, it's not a dry staining, is it?
I know.
So you're saying like on your fingers? Tablecloth. Well, butterfly wings have little removable scales, so maybe it just comes right off. But a neat strategy here, huh?
Yeah. And how much fun to sort of have this whole new kind of wrinkle.
Yeah. And so kind of my strategy as a naturalist is, I don't know all of this stuff when I'm out walking. I just like I see a beautiful flower, I see the pollinator in a different spot in this case, and make some observations in my notebook, do some observing, in this case, take some photographs. Then when I come back, I have a story I want to research, and then I look online and I dig into my book collection back here, book collection, and then that's when the stories start revealing themselves. And then I can come back to the images, come back to what I have in my notebooks and start piecing together a story. And then that still might not gel it for me, because then I might go back out into the field and that's sitting in my memory. And then later I might observe something that fits or refutes that idea. And then I begin to build these stories over time with a mixture of field observations, research, kind of honing in on what might explain this. So this is kind of how I do all of this. I don't walk in nature and have all these magical stories already in my head. These are, I have to work really hard to figure these things out later, and I don't always find answers. But that's the fun of it, is the mystery.
Yeah, your understanding and your knowledge of nature stuff is encyclopedic. However, encyclopedias are not
complete.
Are not complete.
Yeah.
So I've not met many people who sort of know more sort of neat things about nature. But I also like how you said that you're looking for, I think it's important to note that you said you're looking for evidence that either supports or refutes ideas. So you're not going out there to confirm.
Right.
You're going out there to collect more information that may confirm or it may refute your expectations. So that's a really good example of just sort of keeping epistemologically good hygiene.
Yep.
That's
you kind of take the story and hold it up against the natural world and see if it actually works. And if it doesn't, and it may be factually correct, but I also want things to be emotionally correct for me. So like,
tell me more about
even if a story is factually proven by scientific literature, if it doesn't inspire me in some sort of emotional, poetic, creative way, it may not be a meaningful story for me. I may not hold on to it, or I may want to substitute in something that works better for my imagination and build it out into a different kind of story. And I feel like that's okay. I mean, we're myth makers in a way.
But you're also you're conscious of when you are doing that and when you are not doing that.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
So that, if I'm choosing to go with a tale because it's more, I like it better. I just want to, if I'm doing that, I want to be aware of that I am doing that and why I'm doing that.
Yep. So let me skip ahead here. I think I have another lily. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at this. So this is a different kind of lily.
Ooh.
Kind of doing something similar, but also different. So the similar part is it's hanging down. This is a chocolate lily or chocolate fritillary, more appropriately, with that nodding bell-shaped perianth. Kind of drab in comparison to what we just looked at, right? The classic bell shape here. And I thought, when I saw this, I wonder what it looks like underneath. So I put a ton of effort into trying to get a photograph from underneath, because these are close to the ground and the camera doesn't really fit underneath them, but I was able to get a picture underneath, looking up at this drab flower from underneath. And look what happens when the pollinator comes in underneath that umbrella.
The stained glass window.
Yeah. So we go from this drab gray or brownish kind of yellowish thing to just like, bam, this incredible cathedral of color inside.
Oh.
And that is a very cool flower. Look at it. And this is doing something a little different here. Here we have a three-parted, the female part, the stigma, right?
Yeah.
Three-parted stigma here, folded back so the receptive inner surface will be touched first. And then the anthers around the base of it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
Oh
And
man. Where are those purple spots I'm seeing up there in that bowl? Are those the nectaries, or are the nectaries closer to?
No, the nectaries are highlighted with these windows up here. So yeah, where it's glowing is where the nectaries are. It is very clearly marking with UV spectrum where the nectaries are in this case. And of course,
I'm seeing that in the chat. Roy Vederick is also giving us a bunch of really interesting information. He noted that dark color fritillary is also smells badly, rotting food in order to attract flies, question mark.
Yes,
Also,
yes.
Asian rotting food look
Yep.
to further draw a carrion-like fly. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I read that for this species too, the chocolate fritillary, that has a fetid odor for attracting flies. And now that I know that, I know to look for it. I was not smelling this flower, and I probably should have been, but so I read that that's true, that they're attracting flies. So this seems like a pretty elaborate structure for a little fly coming in. And that's what I was trying to match up in my mind when I read that. I was like, great, it attracts flies with a fetid smell, but that does not match what I'm seeing with this elaborate kind of stamen stigma arrangement in here for, I mean, maybe they're big flies.
Mhm.
But an unusual view of this flower.
Hey, what was the name of that really skinny, tall tree what species was that really tall?
Those were subalpine firs.
Oh.
Yep. And then as we go along here, we're also in habitat, oops, let's see. Of these great, interesting buggers here.
Oh.
Isn't that cool?
You
And you
either
can-
got a lens or you had a cooperative bird. Was this one trying to display you out of the area?
Not display me out of the area, probably trying to hold on to its display as long as it could before getting a little nervous and walking away. But their calls are ventriloquial. Oops, can you still hear me?
I still hear you.
Okay, my image froze. I thought I wasn't on. Their calls are ventriloquial, so you could be standing 10 feet, 10 yards away from one and not even be able to tell where it's coming from, whether it's like half a mile away or 3 feet away. Their calls are ventriloquial, so they're very well hidden and by their sound and by their plumage.
Wow. And
Yes,
that little crest above the eye, in different areas, those are different colors, right?
Yes, I was going to say that. So this used to be called blue grouse, and they have now split it into dusky grouse. This is a dusky grouse on the east side of the Cascades and in drier areas, and then sooty grouse on the west side of the Cascades in wetter areas. This dusky grouse, this eye comb on the male, this is a male who is displaying, that's how I found it. The comb is yellowish, and on the sooty grouse, it's kind of an orange, red orange. So this bird is slightly disturbed by me, but it was displaying. And when they display, you've seen the pictures of, I don't know if my image is active or not. It's not active on my computer, but on sage grouse, they have this big giant pouch that comes out in front of their throat. But on these, it comes out on the side of their throat. And so these feathers are covering this big bulbous pouch that comes out, and it's beautifully colored, and the feathers on the underside are brightly colored, and they fan them open and display this pouch on the side here.
So which grouse was this one?
This is the dusky grouse, split off from the blue grouse. So these.
Were you attracted by the sound? Did you hear the sound?
Yes, it's a very, very deep booming sound that is so eerie because you cannot tell, you can barely hear it. You can more feel it than hear it, and you can't pinpoint it.
That's cool.
One other thing I noticed on this bird too is look how the like ducks and geese, this is not true for songbirds and stuff, but ducks and geese, where the wing tucks into a pocket of feathers. I just noticed that. So see, here's the outline of the wing, but it's tucked underneath a bunch of covert feathers that are covering the front edge of it. Probably because on the ground, it's pushing through vegetation that would abrade the feathers. So this is protecting the front edge of the wing as it's pushing through dense grasses and bushes, so that it can open its wings and take flight instantaneously.
So, and the that yellow is skin. Is that right?
I would need to see a dead bird to know. That is a great question. Yes, let's guess it's a bare patch of skin, but I'm not going to hold off on the possibility it could be feathers, but that's a weird color for feathers. I don't know. I'm guessing it's bare skin, that because they don't show this in the wintertime, so it probably comes engorged with blood or something and turns color.
That's my understanding. I think
Okay.
I think it is. I think it's a skin patch with and that and it, as it is kind of getting old, this pumped up with its display.
Yeah.
This can brighten and enlarge also.
Very cool. Well, it's neat to see their pouches on the side of their throats when they're out, but it's hard to photograph that, or I haven't got one yet. But.
When you came up on that, was it what was it in the process of displaying?
Yeah, that's how I found it, because they're really well hidden.
Did you get to see the pouch out?
Yeah. The pouch doesn't stick out a huge distance. It's more that the feathers fan out and reveal it, but the pouch does come out a little bit. And I will keep working to get a picture of that and share it when I can.
I will look forward to that.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. We're coming up on 1 o'clock, so I can show like one more image or something, or.
That sounds fun. Hey, and also, in these conversations that we're having here, usually I think people are really quiet because you're used to us having muted you. Everybody is unmuted. If you wish to unmute yourself, if you want to add something into the conversation, that's what you're not breaking protocol or anything like that.
Thank you. This is Roy. I was going to ask that. I didn't want to break protocol.
Hey, Roy, I really love your natural history observations that you've been putting in there, and please feel free to share. This is a massive geek out session here.
You're very welcome, and I learned a lot. That's why I joined in on this, I think.
Thank you, Roy. Let's see.
So what day were you up there? What would the date have been? I want to put in some metadata on this and the location.
Maybe for yesterday, so 26th. June 26th.
26. It is 2021. The name of this location is?
North Cascades.
North Cascades. And what canyon are you up in? Or what creek?
Let's say the Methow River.
How do you spell it?
Methow.
David.
And it's been super hot recently?
Yes, it's all week is 110. Yeah, go ahead, Dad.
Did you get very much time? Was somebody else wanting to say something?
No, go ahead, Dan.
What was the species on that? Was it a coral root or a fritillary? The flower?
Fritillaria affinus is the new name for it. It used to be lanceolata, Fritillaria lanceolata, but it's now affinus, Fritillaria affinus.
Cool.
Often called chocolate fritillary.
Chocolate, yeah.
Yep. And they're extremely widespread. Apparently, they're all over North America, and highly variable. Many different forms of it too. So,
good.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Did you get very much time to watch the grouse? And did you watch to see where did it fly or run to a new spot? Did it go to a high tree or a middle tree or bush?
No, great question. Well, the dusky grouse is more of a ground dwelling one. It likes to stay on the ground. And they tend to walk away. I have yet to see one fly. I don't think I've seen one fly yet. I think they just tend to walk really slowly, almost serenely, confidently. They walk away, looking around as they walk. And, I don't spend a lot of time with them because I don't want to, if I'm this close, I don't want to disturb them. just trying to document it and then back up a little bit. So I'm not putting too much pressure on them.
Thank you.
Yeah, great question. The sooty grouse, the west side one, does stay in trees and doesn't come down to the ground, whereas Dusky Grouse is characterized by liking the ground. And one thing that's fascinating about them is that in the winter, they're one of the few birds in the world that switches over to a diet of basically just conifer needles, and usually 1 or 2 species of conifer needles. That's all they eat the entire winter. It's just the needles of 1 or maybe 2 species of conifers in their range. And they subsist on that horrible diet all winter long. So, somehow they're able to break that down, probably with bacteria in their gut. And in the case of like California quail, I know this is true, is that the babies eat the adult feces to inoculate their system with bacteria. So I'm assuming the grouse probably do the same thing, where the babies eat the adult feces in order to inoculate their system with the bacteria they need to break it down.
Oh, man.
Which conifer? Presumably not a pine, but more of a.
Well, I don't think there's a specific species. I think they just whatever is in their range. So in this case, they're up in the subalpine fir. There's not much else up there, but yeah. I mean, they'll eat whatever they can find, but in most of their areas where it's deep snow, there's no more buds, there's no more leaves. So they subsist on conifer needles. Yeah, great questions. So I'll go ahead and skip these pictures and just end here. I think you can see that, right? Because we'll do more walks in this landscape if people are interested. If people have enjoyed this, there's many more places to explore, many more things to see. Each time we only get to go through like 5 or 10 slides of just a few pictures. Because this is so much fun. We have so much fun looking at these things and geeking out about it. So if you've enjoyed this, I hope you would join us for another walk into some more of this kind of terrain.
Roy, you had your hand up.
I was just doing a thumbs up and a peace symbol.
David, thank you so much for sharing this with us. It's really fun to get to sort of bop around this landscape and to kind of see more through your eyes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's fun to share.
Is that an avalanche chute I'm seeing on the far hillside there?
Okay, so these are avalanche chutes here coming down, completely colonized with impenetrable thickets of alder, Sitka alder on these avalanche chutes. All glaciers, just glaciers, 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 glaciers. And then the incredible meadow that we were just in for some of these photographs right over here.
North Cascades, what, a national park or a national forest?
It is a mix. So, but this we're looking at the national park here. This is North Cascades National Park. But where I live, I'm surrounded by 2 3/4 million acres of wilderness, continuous wilderness from around where I live. So it's a mix of different agencies, jurisdictions, including big parks in Canada across the border. So it's an amazing landscape, and it's fun to share it with everyone.
Hey, David, thank you so much for doing this. If you folks enjoyed this and want to see more of this, here's what I suggest you do. Keep an eye on the Nature Journal Club community calendar. And David will be posting other workshops. I also want to encourage folks, if you are able to head over and visit David's website. You can kind of check in with the things that he is doing. There's also a little link there that if you're able to support him, to make a donation. And struggling naturalists and have to buy more film. Actually, I guess this is digital, but we still need to keep you in enough lentils to power you on your next expedition.
Well, this is a full-time job for me doing this.
Yep.
Putting these programs together. So, yep.
I want to encourage people if you're able to make a donation to support David, you can do that. What is the URL, David?
lucasguides.com, and there's /donate is the donate page.
Great.
And also, I will be giving a birdsong talk at 4 o'clock, also on the Nature Journal Club, another event for the Nature Journal Club at 4 o'clock, if people are interested.
Yep. And David's bird song class is not the content that you've heard in a lot of other classes. This is, if you really kind of want to do a deep dive and understand birdsong, you'll find this a really rich, very well researched exploration of birdsong.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you've updated your talk as new data has come out since the last time I saw it, but I remember thinking, I know about birdsong because I did my master's thesis on birdsong.
Oh, that's right.
Sat through your birdsong class and was like, oh, oh, I'm gonna write that down. You'll enjoy it. And it's
welcome. Yep. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Jack. Good to see everyone. Bye.
Take care, everybody.